it's Teresa from 360 Handmade Bags, and welcome to my channel and welcome to my sewing studio. Thank you so much for being here. If you're already part of my YouTube channel community, thank you so much for coming back. And if you're new to my channel, welcome aboard and thanks so much for stopping by and being here. And if you feel like subscribing, on the bottom right hand corner of your screen there is a subscribe button. If you don't want to miss any of these bag making tutorials or YouTube lives that I do, then just click the subscribe button. Make sure the notification bell is set to see all posts, and then you won't miss when I post a new YouTube tutorial. I also have all of my videos and recorded lives in a playlist called 360 Handmade Bags, of course. So today we are making the Bartleby Sling from Unikatz Patterns or Unikatz Designs. And I've made many of these bags. These are a really, really great make. It's you just follow the pattern or tutorial, whatever you're following, and I've kind of switched it up a bit. I've got a couple of hacks that I do, and I'll show those to you in a sec. So this is a custom order. I was asked to make, it's a great bag for color blocking. So I was asked to use the dark brown Mora faux leather and then this denim blue faux leather that I got from Lens Mills in Barrie. So this is the Bartleby Sling. Isn't that gorgeous? I absolutely love this, and the opportunities that you can have for color blocking. She wanted the bag primarily brown, well, all brown, and with these very catchy accent pieces, but you can see with the lines on this bag how you could really shake it up and do a lot of other color blocking. When I first made these, I made about 4 or 5 bags using the marine color Mora faux leather, and then for the contrast I used the mustard color Mora faux leather, and they looked like the colors of the Ukrainian flag, and they were just in honor of supporting Ukraine, and I sold those right away. I should make a few more, but this is a custom order. What it has is 3 unique zipper pockets on the front, and I have my old logo for my bag tag, and so in here, and of course my lining is from Sam Fabric Creation in Quebec. This is the dark brown Mora faux leather, and this is the bluey denim from faux leather from Lens Mills. So here's the lining, nylon lining, and this is a small little pocket at the front that's big enough to put a couple of lip balms in it. Then this pocket, it's a lot deeper that you could put other things in. And then this one is quite a bit bigger. So your phone could fit in here or anything else, but look at how gorgeous that lining is. Isn't that beautiful? But wait, there's more, because look at this amazing, unique strap connector. So, okay, so the first hack that I did is, now the bag does call for 2 zipper pulls to be up here, but my customer only wanted 1. So of course I have to have all the zipper pulls going on the left side when you're looking at the bag. Now, with the pattern, this strap connector, this zipper, which I have on the left side as you're looking at the bag, is in the pattern, it's written to go on this side. That kind of bothered me, that all the zipper pulls, because I only ever use 1 zipper pull. It's very rare I use a double zipper pull. It kind of bothered me that this zipper pull was on this side. So I switched the pattern. I explained that in this tutorial of how I did it. And now I have all my zipper pulls all on the same side. So check this out. Look at, and it's lined. Lots of room to put your car keys with your key fob, but it's just such a unique pocket. Oh, there's Murphy wanting to say hi. But it's just such a unique strap connector, because usually this is all wasted space. So this is a great use of space. And honestly, I borrow this connector for a lot of my other bags because I just love it, and it just gives you that extra pocket to use. Now on the back, typically there are 2 D-ring connectors, and then you have to figure out which side you want your sling strap to be attached to. So what I do instead is I create a strap that makes a slide for the D-ring connector, and it slides back and forth depending on which shoulder you're wearing your bag on, and then it will self-adjust. So you don't have to figure out what side. And then the other hack that I did was I add a slip pocket onto the back, and it's a magnetic slip pocket, and it's lined, and it's lots of room, tons of room to fit my Samsung S25 Ultra in there, and the magnetic snap will do up as well. And on the inside, it's pretty basic on the inside. It is a bound bag, but look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Okay, so I have tea towels in here just to keep the bottom pushed out because, disclaimer, I forgot to add, like, all the exterior pieces have the by Annie's soft and stable foam as a stabilizer, and I forgot to add it to the gusset. But you can see that when you've got stuff in the bottom, it pushes your seams out exactly the way you want them. So there's the back panel with that gorgeous lining. And of course my Made in Canada label, and Murphy is now picking on the cat. And then the front panel of the bag, there's a slip pocket here to put whatever she wants to put in there. So this is such a gorgeous bag, and the adjustable strap as well. Now, and it's 1.5 inch wide strapping. Now, I didn't make the strap as long as I normally do because she's quite a lot shorter than me. I think she's like not even 5 feet tall. So I didn't make the strap super long, and it's hard for me to put it on because I'm 5'7". But anyways, here is the Bartleby Sling. And get your pattern and decide which fabrics you want to use and how you're going to do your color blocking, and grab it, get all your stuff together and sew the Bartleby Sling with me along with this tutorial. This is a great bag. I've made many. I probably made about 10 or 12 of them now, and they've all sold because it's such a great bag, and it has a lot of zippers, and of course this added slip pocket at the back is just a feature. And this, love this. All right, get your pattern, get all your fabrics together, and decide what color combinations you're going to use, and join me in sewing the Bartleby Sling. Okay, so before we get started making the Bartleby Sling, I just want to mention a couple of things. When I cut out my pattern pieces, I don't cut out the bottom gusset panel until I have the zipper gusset panel made, and then I can determine what the width is. This is the width of the actual pattern piece. But because I stitch everything at 1/4 inch seam allowance, and my zipper tape width could be wider, that means my bag size is going to be different. So I don't use the width, the shorter end width of the bottom gusset until I get my zipper panel with the gusset made, and then I use that as a template because it could be a bit wider, and I want to make sure that these two match because I do prefer a bit of a wider gusset. So I just wanted to mention that. So I won't be so I will still have to cut the exterior, the lining, and the foam stabilizer. And before we start working on the front panel, which has the contrasting squares, just make sure that you mark all of your pieces. I've cut out my pieces for the front. It's all measurements in the pattern, but I've cut mine out on cardstock. Just make sure you mark your pieces, like your pattern piece, and your back piece so that you know what number you're working on. And the front panel, which is the bottom, small bottom zipper pocket, it has this piece. I've got Decaville light here. And when you're looking at it, the curve, when you're looking at the wrong side, the curve will be on your left side. And then when you wind up looking at it on the right side, it will be on that bottom right corner. So I have all my pattern pieces marked 1, 2. So my contrast is that denim-y blue faux leather. And then of course my contrast and main body exterior is going to be the dark brown Mora faux leather from EMMALINE bags. So the first thing that we're going to work on, because I create my own slip pocket on the back, and and all I do is I just take that pattern piece A, which is here, you know, the main pattern piece A, and I kind of just fold it down just past the curves, and that's where I make my template for the slip pocket. But also what I do is I add about 1 inch extra to the height. So you're going to see that my exterior piece, which is the dark brown, I've got about 1 inch, just for a bit of leeway and a bit of give. And of course, this is our interior lining. It's nylon, but it's very thin, from Sam Fabric Creation. And because when I do make the interior pocket or slip pocket, or the exterior back zipper pocket, this is so thin, I have glued on with Beacon's Fabri-Tac 3-in-1. I've glued on some foam, the Biani soft and stable foam, just at the top, just because this is where the male magnetic snap is going to be, and I want it to have a little bit of stability. And of course I'll be using my duct tape back here as well, like I usually do, but I just wanted to go over that. And also, before I forget, when I'm using foam as a stabilizer, I always cut my lining pieces a little bigger, maybe about 1/4 inch bigger than the actual pattern, only because of the fact that I want it to have room to get over that thickness of the foam. All right, so what we're going to work on right now is the back panel, and I'm going to work on my back strap connector, because I don't put the 2 D-ring connectors on either back side of the back. I just put 1 strip that winds up being finished 1 inch thick or 1 inch wide for a 1 inch D-ring connector. And so I add that because I find it's easier for the bag, depending on what shoulder you put your bag on. Then because it slides back and forth, it will find the right side for it to hang the right way, instead of you trying to figure out what D-ring connector to clip your swivel clasp on. So we're just going to work on the back strap. I have it measured at about 8.5 inches because I like a bit of overhang. And then when I baste it onto the edges of the back slip pocket, I always give it a little bit of a push in to give it a bit of a raise, to give it room for the D connector to slide back and forth so that it's not tight. All right, so we're just taking the double-sided tape off. We're just going to, meet our centers. I've got the center line there, just like we always do for straps and D-ring connectors. I'm not putting any stabilizer on this because I want it to be somewhat flexible. Okay, so then I'm just going to top stitch down either side, and then I'm going to come in so that I wind up catching on this side of each of those raw edges, because I don't want them to come apart. I want them to make sure, to make sure that they're stable. That's the word. Oops. Change my stitch length. And the thread that I'm using is just Gutermann heavy duty polyester, 100% polyester, and it's dark brown, and I get that at Walmart. Okay, so there we have the double stitching. Okay, we're going to just sew up the back slip pocket, which is extra and not part of the pattern. So I just take my right sides together at the top. I don't mark my centers on this, and just clip it across. I'm not even using double-sided tape. I'm just going to clip it, and I'm going to sew this top together at about 1/4 inch seam allowance. And flip it over. Now it's going to be, for me, it's going to be thicker at the top here because I have that foam. Line up your sides, line up this top edge, fold it over. I'm going to have to roll it because of the foam. So I'm going to top stitch at 1/8 of a seam allowance. Oops. Okay, I'm going to just baste all around. Actually, no, I can't baste because I have to put my magnetic snap, the male portion of the magnetic snap. I knew I was missing something. Okay. So I'm going to take my duct tape. Okay, and I'm just going to mark the center edge to edge here with a bit of a crease. And then I will be able to judge where I want my male part of the magnetic snap to go on the inside. So I need to do it from this edge. I'm just going to line up the center hole of the magnetic snap with that crease. Mark my slits on the lining side because that's where I want the magnetic snap, the male portion of the magnetic snap to be. And I'll take my duct tape. This is why I couldn't baste yet, because I want to be able to flip this up and put the duct tape right up against that seam. Make my slits. And I want to put some fray check on here just to be on the safe side where I made my slits. Then I'll take the male portion of the magnetic snap and I will pop that through here. Pop the washer on, splay these guys open. Okay, I'll put that female away for now. Okay, now we can sew. So the magnetic snap is on the male portion. And then when I do the back panel and sew this on, then I can mark a little black dot on here, press it onto the exterior of the back panel, and I'll know where to put the female portion of the magnetic snap. Alrighty, so I'm just going to line up. I'm just going to line up these guys, clip them, and then I'm going to baste all around the exterior edge and then trim up the excess lining that I know I have, because I deliberately cut my lining slightly bigger to accommodate any kind of foam. Okay, we'll just baste this. Yeah. Alrighty, so the slip pocket is now finished at the moment. Now I'm going to put the D-ring slider connector on. All right, so I've got a 1-inch D-ring connector that I'm putting here. And I just kind of eyeball where I want it. I just kind of want it up above the curve of the bottom of the bag. Okay, so 1.5 inches up from the bottom edge. I'll just clip that. Okay, and I'm just going to baste that end. I'm just going to baste that strap on to the edges of the slip pocket. Okay, so there's our slider connector on our slip pocket. And then I'm just going to leave these ends long for now until we get the back sewn on. And now I'm going to take my back panel. Nothing really exciting about that. I do have the By Annie's foam already glued on, and I'm going to put my lining piece over because we just need to baste this on. Okay. And wrong sides together because we want the exterior that way and the interior that way. And I'm going to just baste it on at a 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, and then I'm going to trim it. All right, so that's the back panel. And then we're going to take our slip pocket. Now, before I do that, I want to have my Made in Canada label just on the back panel so it can be seen. So I'll just stick it along this edge. And then we're going to flip that over so the right side of the back is showing. And you're going to put the, and the right side of the slip pocket is showing. I did it again. I'll just open it up. I stitched all around, basted it on, and I'll just undo the basting and go inside and put the female magnetic snap on. There's always a way. Just mark my centers on the bottom here. But there is always a way to work around something, especially if you forget to do something. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clip clip the slip pocket to the exterior. I'm going to use my plastic clips, it's easier. So the right side of the slip pocket is facing up and the right side of your back exterior of the bag is facing up. And I'm just going to clip those together so I know where I'm going to make the mark for the female magnetic snap, and then I'm going to open it up from the top and put it on. Because I have to get in between the lining and in between the exterior. Okay. So I'm just going to clip the edges. I have room to move that up. And then I'm just going to make sure that this top edge is even from here to here. Perfect. Great. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to take my permanent marker, my Sharpie. Make sure you don't hit your fabric. I did that when I made my purple tall wallet, and I've got a nice permanent marker on the front of it. All right, so I'm just going to lift up this edge where my male magnetic snap is, and I have it as close to the top as I possibly can get it, only because of the fact that this gives you lots of room for a large cell phone. Like I have a Samsung S25 Ultra, and it's not enough room. Well, it's clipped there, but I mean, if I put it in sideways, it's room enough to magnetic snap it closed, but a lot of people have smaller phones than mine. That's why I always add the inch to the top of my pattern piece that I've made for the slip pocket. All right, so just lift up this edge to show your magnetic snap. Put a black dot in the center of the male nub, flip it back, forward, and press it. And now I have, there it is, a black mark where the female portion of the magnetic snap is going to go. So now I have to unclip it. I've got to, and then I'm going to just unclip or open up this basted edge. Okay, so I'm going to get the female portion of the magnetic snap because it's going to go on the exterior. Make sure that that's centered. And is that lined up? Yeah, okay. All right, so I'm just going to mark the slit marks. I'm going to line up the hole of the washer with the dot that I just made. And it's perfect because it matches my center notch here. Just make my slip marks with my pen. Put a piece of double-sided tape or duct tape. Okay, so I've got a piece of duct tape on the inside to help stabilize that. Take my seam ripper, make my slip marks. Put the female portion in. To put that on, but that's okay. Okay, and then I'll make sure I put a piece of double-sided or back duct tape across this. All right, so there we have that. So I'm just going to I'm going to start my basting here just so that I can catch my Made in Canada label. Get that basted into. Okay, so we've got that basted in. We have the female magnetic snap there. Now we are going to put the magnetic snaps together and line everything back up. Match the centers on the bottom edge and align and match your raw edges. And just clip your sides. If your raw edges don't match, that's okay. Make sure that the edges are aligned together, because this slip pocket, even if it's slightly bigger than we want, it'll give a bit of a pooch here to, if you have anything that's a little, you know, that has a bit of dimension in it, like a phone. So just make sure that your raw edges meet. Okay, and I'm just going to baste all around here. Okay, and there we have our back panel completed with a nice slip pocket, magnetic slip pocket. You can put anything in, even if you have a small Kindle, it might fit in there. So there's my phone, and my phone does fit in there top to bottom, and it does close. So that's a great place, you know, for anything that you want secure. Okay, so to work on the front panel of the Bartleby, you're going to need your piece number 1, and I'm using the contrast color of the blue, and you're going to need your pattern piece E, which is your lining piece for this, and then your piece number 2, and I'm using the dark brown for that. But before we get to number 2, we're going to be putting our zipper on, and then you're also going to be needing the shortest piece of the zipper that's in the pattern. We are not putting our zipper pulls on yet. Now on the left side of the zipper tape, I just want to just take my lighter to it to burn it, to melt it. Put double-sided tape across the top edge, top raw edge of my contrast piece, and then put your teeth down to get on with the right side, and then line up that left edge that you just melted. I have it slightly overhanging so that it's not right up against, and then lay your zipper tape along the top raw edge. You're going to have an extra length here on the right side because that's where the zipper pull is going to come in. And then take your double-sided tape, run it across the top of your zipper tape. And then take your pattern piece E, lining, and line up your 2 raw edges of your lining and your exterior piece to make that small little zipper pocket. So line up those top edges. And then sew that in at the seam allowance in the pattern. Flip it, clip it, wrong sides together, and that's where my Decaville light is on that one piece. Match up those raw edges on the left side, and we're just going to top stitch across the zipper tape. I just like to line up these raw edges just to make sure that they're even. And then we're just going to top stitch. Okay, and then double-sided tape again to the top edge of that zipper tape. And then you're going to take your piece number your pattern piece number 2. And I already have Decaville light on it. And then you're just going to match up those raw edges, right sides together. Match up the raw edges here on the left. And then line up your top zipper tape to the raw edge of your zipper. Fold up your, flip it over and put double-sided tape on the wrong side of your zipper tape. And then flip up your lining to that pocket and line up your raw edges on the sides and in line with your zipper tape. And then we're going to sew across the top of that zipper. And flip up. So now we have our little pocket, slip pocket there, and then flip up your contrast, your main piece. Make sure that your seam that you've just sewn is going up towards the top, and then do a 1/8 inch top stitching to hold that all in place. Okay, and this is what we have so far. And get your piece 3 ready to go, and then we are going to be just lining these 2 up. Make sure your tops are lined up. Line it up on the raw edge on your left side, and then we're going to sew that on. And then flip it and top stitch. And what that does is when you're sewing all along the left sides, it's going to catch this left side of your, make sure you get them caught, clipped in. It's going to catch the left side of this pocket and it'll sew that closed. Oops. I'm just going over the zipper teeth, back stitch across them just to help secure them in. All right, and flip it and top stitch. So your seam is going to go towards your left now, but we're going to just top stitch that. And if your edges aren't even, don't worry about that, because we're going to be taking the template of the pattern and putting it after we've built this whole front panel. See, my edges don't really meet. I'm not worrying about that right now until the whole thing is built. And then we're going to use the whole template to trace out the pattern. All right, so we're working on the next section of the front panel. So you're going to take your next piece of zipper tape that the measurement is in the pattern, and I'm just going to melt this edge, put double-sided tape across the top, and then we're going to line up this zipper tape with the left edge, and I have it slightly overhanging, just a little bit on the left. And line up your raw edges at the top here. You're going to have that overhang. Then take your lining piece F. Put another strip of double-sided tape on the top edge of your wrong edge of your zipper tape. Okay, and then take your lining piece and line that up with your raw edge on the left side and your top edge of your zipper. And then we're going to sew that across, flip it, and top stitch. Just making sure that you keep your left edges lined up. Finger press everything down, and then we're just going to top stitch across this top. It's getting a little bulky now because we have these seams for where we've top stitched the other sections on. Okay, flip it over so the lining side is showing. And put double-sided tape across the wrong side of the zipper tape. flip up the bottom edge of your lining, and now your one straight edge is on your right side. So make sure that those edges line up, and then line up the top edge of your lining to the back of the zipper tape. Should have done it this way. Flip it over. Another strip of double-sided tape across the top edge of the right side of the zipper teeth up. Get your pattern piece 4. So now I'm back to the contrasting blue color. And we're going to lay that, line up the left edges of my raw edges of my exterior, and line up the top edge here. And then we're going to sew it and then flip it and top stitch. Okay, and flip it so that the seam allowance goes up like that towards the top, and then we're going to top stitch. Okay, then take your pattern piece 5. Whew, I looked at the color and thought I made a mistake. Okay, pattern piece 5. And we go along the left edge of this, making sure that when you clip it, you meet your corners, top edge, and left raw edges. And line those all up. The only challenging thing about this pattern is making sure that your zippers and these little panel strips are straight by the time you open everything up and look at it. All right, so we're going to sew that together. Sew these pieces together, and then we're going to flip it and top stitch. Yeah, it's looking pretty good, so I'm just going to flip it over and top stitch. This dark brown looks beautiful with this denim-y gray blue. It's a really nice color combination. Okay, to finish off the front, you need your next largest zipper, and the measurement is in the pattern. You need your pattern piece 6 and your pattern piece H. So I've got double-sided tape along the top edge of my contrast, and I'm going to burn the ends of my zipper and lay that zipper teeth down along the top edge of my panel here, and then put another strip of double-sided tape along the top edge of the zipper tape. You're going to take your pattern piece H lining and put your right sides together with the right sides of your front panel, matching up those left sides and the top edge. It would help if I took the backing off. Oh my goodness, what's going on with me today? Not enough coffee today. Okay, now we're going to sew this together. Yes. My goodness, I had to think there. I mean, it's only a repetitive step, but holy smokes, I had to think of what I was doing. All right, we're sewing this together, the zipper sandwich. And we're going to flip it and top stitch, just like we did for the other pieces. So make sure that my edges are together. And we'll top stitch this. Now we'll take our piece number 6 and lay this right sides together, line up your edges and your top of the zipper tape. Flip it over to the lining side, add another strip of double-sided tape along the top edge of your zipper. And take the bottom edge of your lining and fold that up, making sure that now your straight edge is on the right side, that you line that up. Make sure that those edges are lined up and the top edge of your lining is in line with your zipper tape at the top edge. Okay, and we will sew that on and then flip it and top stitch. Okay, and then we will top stitch this up. If you have a zipper foot and you want to switch out to your zipper foot, that's a good thing to do too. Making this panel, I don't switch out my zipper foot only because I find I don't like using it. Okay. There we have, this is what the back looks like right now. Now we don't have this edge sewn, but you can see how all these edges got caught in. and sewn with these different side panels. Okay, and I'm just going to take my lighter and just kind of melt the ends of these exposed zipper tape just to give it a quick thing. Now, this is where I'm going to be putting my bag tag, is on this little front square piece. I'm not putting it on yet until I have this cut down to the size of the pattern. And I know I'm going to be cutting a lot off. So, but this is what's the important part, is that you see this beautiful contrasting, and there's so many different options of color blocking as well. This is just what I like to do. It's, you know, I'm very symmetrical, so this is just what I like to do. But when we get it all settled and cut down and we have our zipper pulls on and stuff like that, then that's where I'll figure out where I'm going to put my bag tag, and I'll be back. All right, so the next step is to install your zipper pulls. So I have already installed mine on the first two zippers, and that's why we have this extended zipper tape. And so I'm going to be installing this one. But before you do, because this end is open, make sure that you baste these zipper teeth so that it doesn't go flying off. Ask me how I know. All right, so of course we're using number 5 zipper tape, and I have number 5 zipper pulls that match the zipper tape. And actually this is zipper tape I get from Amazon, and I get these zipper pulls with the zipper tape. So 10 yards of zipper tape and the pulls, I think 25 pulls. And these are quite nice because they're big and they're substantial. And they're good quality too, and you know, for like 20-25 bucks Canadian. All right, so if you haven't installed a zipper before, pull your teeth apart and slide your zipper pull onto the one side, and then feed the other side in. And then what I do, I know it's hard to see, and I'm going to try and do this backwards for me. You see how your zipper tape is kind of wonky? So what I do, make sure you keep your finger on the flat edge of that zipper pull. I kind of line up my zipper teeth, and the zipper pull is kind of wonky. And then I kind of straighten it, push it down, and then pull my zipper on, and you have a perfect zipper pull with no bulges or anything like that. So keep this zipper in the middle because you don't want it to go flying off this end, even though we have basted it, and or this end or these ends. All right, I'll be back. Okay, the next step is a very important step because we have to close off these zipper pockets on this side, the overhangs of the zipper tape edge. So in the pattern, she's got a pattern description. She has a measurement. So all I have done is I've done the first two, the top and the middle pocket. And what you do is you sew into, keep this flat, sew it into here and then down the edge on both of these pockets. And they have to be done separately. You can't just stitch the whole side and do it this side. So now what I'm going to do is I haven't done the little pocket. So I'm just going, I've got all these pocket linings heading towards the top, so they're out of my way and out of my stitch line. And this is going to be the tight little pocket, so I'm just going to stitch in here as close to this zipper as I can get, and then I'm going to turn it and go down that edge. And you need to keep your zipper flat as best as possible. Oops, yeah, my zipper's right in the way, but I can sew it up as best I can. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to center our pattern piece. I have my centers mark cut out on the top and the bottom of the fabric. Clearly my panel that I've sewn is way bigger than the actual pattern piece. I knew that was going to happen because of the fact that I sew at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, and my zipper tape is a little bigger. So this pocket's going to be a little smaller down at the bottom. I know that because I do want a large enough space up here to sew the zipper gusset in. So I've lined everything up. I've traced this pattern template all around, and I made sure that I pulled my zipper pulls all the way to the edge, but I clipped the ends of the zipper so they didn't go flying off. And I've already traced it, and then I'm going to cut around the trace mark. And I want to make sure that everything looks straight. Okay, so I'm just going to cut around this. Actually, I want to close up this zipper a bit. Okay. And I've got to be careful of this because now I've cut that basting stitch off the edge of that zipper. Okay, throw all my excess out. I just want to baste that end of that zipper again, just in case. Okay. All right, there's our front panel, and I'll be back. All right, so this is where I'm going to be putting my bag tag. And I'm using one of my metal bag tags with my very old logo on it. So I'm just going to be centering this kind of just down. We haven't sewn anything together yet. I still have these ends of the zipper. I didn't baste them. I did baste this end though. All right, and I'll just make my slit marks for my bag tag. Take my duct tape, slide it underneath in between the layers. Don't catch the lining. I want it just on the exterior underside. All right, and I will cut my slit marks. Open the prongs or the bag tag. Stick the washer on, the prongs on the inside. Make sure everything's flat and press them inward, and then I want to look at it from this side and make sure I've got it on straight. I don't have it super tight in there yet because I just want to make sure that it's level with the stitching here. Okay, and then I'll take the other piece of duct tape and, oh, there it is, and stick it over top of the washer and the prongs to protect that lining from the other side. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now we are going to just move your zipper pulls into the center. Okay, so there's my bag tag. I know it's slightly over and over, but I'm going to have stitching here. And if it's off kilter, that's okay. It's not the end of the world. Okay, so take your last piece of your pattern piece A, which is your lining. And you're going to flip your front panel wrong side up. And then you're going to take your lining piece and put your wrong sides together. But first I want to line up and mark my centers because I know my lining piece is bigger than my front panel. And then I'll do the same with my lining pieces. I'll just The center's top and bottom. Okay, wrong side up of your front panel. Zipper pulls make a loud racket. Okay, and wrong and right side up. So wrong sides together. And just clip. I'm matching the tops, even though I know it's bigger. I make it bigger because I know that there's bulk here, and I want this, because if you cut it exactly to the pattern piece, it could come up short because it's going over top of that little bit of a curve. So that's why I always cut mine larger than what I'm supposed to. There is a method to my madness. Just lay that flat and just clip your wrong sides that are together, clip everything together, and this will also seal up that bottom, the bottom zipper pocket that I did trim off. Okay, I know that this is going to be too big, so I'm lining up those edges. Just let me draw around here, and I can trim this up. Make it a little easier to clip. Okay, let's do this again. We'll clip this. All right, and then I'm just going to baste all around the outer perimeter. Just to kind of show my support, and people love them, and I sold them. I think I made 4 of them and people bought them. They really liked it. But this color blocking, you can do so much with it, and you know, to add your colors. But this is a custom order, so my customer asked that I use the dark brown Mora Faux leather and this denim blue. So isn't that pretty? And there's the other side. So here's our zipper pockets. I'm just going to be careful, especially opening this one. So this one goes all the way down to here. And this one goes down to the bottom. And then of course the little one is going to be smaller because we cut it off, but it's big enough to put a lip balm or a couple of keys in there or whatever. Okay, I will close these up, make sure they don't come off. And now our front panel is done, and I'll be back. All right, so now what we're going to be working on is that really super cool, unique top strap connector that's attached to the back of your bag that has that zipper pocket in it. And that is a really, really unique feature of this bag. And I have borrowed this connector idea and added it to many different other kind of sling bags that I've made. And I really like the fact that it's not wasted space, that strap connector. and you make use of it with this. Now, when you are, so what you're going to need is your pattern piece B1, which is your exterior, and then your lining. Now, when the pattern piece is cut, your exterior is cut on the right side, and your lining is cut right side up. However, I do it opposite. I put my fabric wrong side up, and then that's how I trace my pattern. Because I'm just going to show you the pattern piece. It's just something about me and liking things lining up and symmetrical. So here you have the pattern. And this is how it's written, so that when you do the zipper, it's going to be on the right side. And you have double pulls at the top here. I'm only using one double pull, and it'll close to the left side. All these other zipper pulls are closing to the left. I didn't like how this closed on the other side. So I have made it backwards so that my zipper will close along the left side, and all of my zipper pulls will line up. Call me anal if you like. So in order to achieve that, you take the right side of your pattern piece and trace it and cut it on the wrong side. Whereas if you want that zipper on the right side of the bag, when you're looking at it, you follow what the pattern says and cut this and on the right side. And that goes for the same with the lining as well. You make sure that the lining, because the pieces are going to be mirrored, is I have it left wrong side up, and I put the pattern piece there. So wrong side up will give me my zipper pull down the left side of the bag as you're looking at it. So therefore, wherever it says in the pattern, draw a short line, it says in the pattern on the left side, well, that has to be changed to the right side, which is what I've done. So wherever it says left side, I put right. Okay, so this is a little tricky if you do it my way. Take your lining piece, wrong side up. And then in the pattern, there's a certain measurement along these edges that you're supposed to draw a line. Okay, on the lining side. And then there is where the little cutout is, which you'll have it on your left side. I have it on my right side. And then there's another measurement to draw another line up from that. Okay, so there is on the wrong side of your lining, your first line that you make. And then on this, sorry, excuse me. And then on this one, you have another line up from this cutout. Put this pattern piece out of the way because I don't need it. Okay. And then we apply tape. So along this edge, where I've got the two lines, I put a piece of tape down the right edge and into this corner. And then I also put another piece of tape here. And I'm just using 1/8 of an inch tape. Okay, so you've got your double-sided tape going in this corner, and then you have it here. So then you take the one side off. I'm just doing the one that has the one piece of tape. And you take this corner and you fold it up onto that line. So it looks like that. And then you take the other corner take the two pieces off. And you take this corner and fold it up to that second line. Okay, just like that. Okay, so place your exterior zipper pocket connector panel right side up and apply tape along the, if you're doing it as in the pattern, it'll be along this left edge, your left side, but I'm going to be putting it along this right edge. And just take the backing off. So I don't know if I'm going to edit any of this out because this is an important step. So then you take your next zipper tape, which is your last short piece. I have mine about 9 inches. And you put your right sides together. So zipper teeth down and you center it in between these two edges here where your tape is. If you're following the pattern, it'll be the left side of your panel. And on the mirrored side of your lining, right side up, which is this side, I'm just going to put double-sided tape on that. And now, because of the folded bottom, watch that you make sure that you line up these edges with this edge, because this is going to be a little shorter because we've got that folded up. So just make sure that you've got that lined up and that your top edges meet as well. Just like that, and they do meet. Okay, now we're going to sew these together at the seam allowance in the pattern. So we're sewing our zipper sandwich. Once you get the hang of making this really neat connector top, it's pretty easy when you've made a few of them. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to fold them together, wrong sides together, and we're going to top stitch along the zipper. Make sure, because this is going to be longer, your exterior is going to be longer than your lining, make sure you go right to the end of the exterior. Make sure your lining stays pulled underneath. Okay, so there, that's one side. Now we remove one side of the zipper tape. Don't be afraid of that. So just remove the one side, and then we're going to open up both panels right side up to make a bat shape. Pretty cute, eh? It does look like a bat. So in the pattern, your lining's on the left and your exterior is on the right. With me, it's opposite. My lining's on the right, my exterior is on the left. And it says apply tape to the right side of the exterior panel and place the remaining side zipper. So that is going to go here. So put double-sided tape along here, the top edge. And then center your teeth down and center your zipper in between that area. That's why you have an extra long piece of zipper tape here. It doesn't have to be accurate because we will be trimming it at some point. Okay, so just center it in between here. And then we're going to put another piece of double-sided tape on the zipper tape along this edge. And then we're going to fold the sticky. And we're going to fold the lining up to that and meet it. But when we meet it, we need to make sure that we have our lining piece and our exterior lined up together when the top edges meet of your lining and your zipper tape. Okay, I'm just going to take some of the zipper tape off because it's not going, oops, daisy, I don't want that to happen. Okay, so again, we're going to stitch along here, the lining and the zipper sandwich. Make sure that you start where your exterior is because your lining is shorter. And we're just going to sew that on, and then we're going to turn it right side out, and then we're going to top stitch. And then just top stitch those two edges together. Okay, so this is what we have right now. Okay, so place your lining side up like this. And I'm going to fold the right side to the corners. You're going to fold your left if you're following the pattern. Basically, what I do is I just line up my zipper tapes just to make it easier. like you've got your corners here. And then fold this together so that your zipper tape, my zipper tape is bigger than what the pattern probably calls for, and I know my zipper tapes don't match. Okay, I've got the corners matching down here. I'm just going to clip that together. Just so it stays like that, and then I'll just fold this in. Okay. Now, I'm just going to clip this just so they stay lined up. Because what we're trying to do, so we've got it like this, and what we're trying to do is, as you can see, the zipper tape is not even. And what I want to do is cut that off so that it's even. I'm not cutting it right along the edge. I just want to make these ends even so that I can feed my zipper pull onto the bottom. So we're going to take our zipper pull, feed it on. Doesn't want to stay in the zipper pull. Pull the zipper tape all the way off and then feed it back on so that you've got your zipper tape closed now, and then feed it back on. And then just pull it up to around the center. There we go. And you want your zipper, because this is the top, you want your zipper pulling up, closing up towards the top. And when you open it towards the bottom. Okay, so we're not doing anything, we're not trimming anything at the moment. Just undo these clips, and we're going to turn it. We'll leave the zipper pull in the center-ish, and then we're going to turn it so that you separate your exterior from your lining, and your wrong sides are out. Okay, now we're going to be working with the lining because we're going to be closing this end. All right, so get your double-sided tape out again, and along the bottom, this is where these lines that we already drew come in handy. Along the bottom edge of your lining, put a strip of double-sided tape along both sides here. I'm running out of double-sided tape. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to fold up that bottom edge of the lining until it meets that line. Getting stuck. All right, so just fold that up. And on both sides. This is a slick little zipper pocket. It really is. That's why I love using it on many different bags. All right, fold that up. Okay, So this is what we've got so far. All right, now they say to starting at quarter line bow, start from the zipper side, do not stitch the zipper. Okay, so what we have to do is you have to make sure that your zipper tape is flat and it's going to be lined up the way it's going to zip up. So your corners here, clip this bottom folded edge. Just like that. And it's going to, what you're going to do is right here where the zipper tape starts, you're going to just stitch 1/8 of an inch seam allowance there all the way to the end here. Don't stitch your zipper. You're just going to start stitching just after the zipper tape. And that seals your little pocket inside. This is, like I said, this is so cute. All right, now clip your top part of your zipper until it's about 1/2 inch from your top edge, 1/2 inch or so. And then I'm just going to take a lighter to it. Okay. And then take your two pieces and kind of flatten them together. All right, so now we're going to attach our webbing. So I've really melted the cut end of the zipper tape. Flatten out your connector piece. There's your exterior flattened out like this with your lining. So basically it kind of works corner to corner. And then we're going to take our webbing. I'm using 1.5 inch webbing, and I'm just going to burn the ends. To prevent any fraying. Okay. With my webbing, there isn't any right side or wrong side. So what we're going to be doing is through the exterior only, you're going to feed it up from the bottom up the top. And what you want to do is don't follow the lines of the angles. You want to make sure that this is centered. This cutout piece works perfectly for 1.5 inch webbing. And what you want to do is to make sure that this is centered from top to bottom this way. Don't follow the edges or you're going to have a crooked lining or strap. Okay, and I'm just going to clip that into place. Okay, so you stitch across, you're going to make 2 rows of stitching. You're going to do the stitching that's in the seam in the pattern first, and then you're going to go in between that stitch line and the top edge and do your second set of stitching. Move all my stuff out of my way. All right, so now we're going to turn it right side out, pull your webbing through. I'm just leaving the webbing this long, so we'll get caught in the stitching. you need a pokey tool to poke out your corners, use that. This webbing I got from Amazon as well. Okay. All right. This is what we have so far. All right. So now we're going to baste the bottom closed. Make sure that your lining inside is out of the way, like there's enough space here with mine. So I'm just going to baste this closed along the bottom edge. Make sure that my edges match, and I know my lining is out of the way, and this will go right across my zipper and close that off on the bottom end. And now we can cut that excess piece of zipper tape off. And I'll just take my lighter to this end. All right, there is our connector pocket. How cute is this? I'm not going to pull it too hard where the stitching is, but there's our lining on the inside. Isn't that gorgeous? This has to be the cutest little connector, and it's so, you could, like I said, I've added this to many different bags because it's so well worth it to add something like this. I just love it. You know, I just love this. This is so cute because it is quite a good size, and you can actually put your car keys with the fob inside there as well. All right, let's go on to the next step. All right, we're going to make the interior slip pocket. I messed up. I used on this front panel the largest slip pocket. I used my panel piece A, and I had my pattern piece G hiding. So I've got the wrong, you know, I mean, we still have our zipper pockets made okay. Everything lined up, everything worked out. But there is a zipper pocket or a slip pocket for the inside. And as it works out, the pattern piece G works perfectly to fit both edges and all around, and then we would just trim. So it worked out anyhow. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold these right sides together, and I'm going to top stitch at the folded edge to form the slip pocket. I'm not making any kind of exterior fabric cover for this. I'm just going to leave it as the vinyl. And of course, this is going to pull because it's a little light for my walking foot, but it will work. Okay, and I'm just going to smooth that stitching out because I do have puckers from the, it's heavy duty thread on the light vinyl. Okay, so I'm just going to fold corners to corner, and I'm going to mark my center. And I already have my center marked here. Can't see it with this lining. Just trim that. Okay, and then I'm going to take it and I'm just going to lay it on here, line up my center marks with the center mark on the bottom of this front panel. I'm putting it on the front panel so that when you open the bag, you've got the slip pocket right there instead of it being against your body. And we're going to clip it on, and we're going to top stitch, or we're going to baste it on. Oh, there goes one of my clips breaking. Everything works out, and then we'll have to trim it after. Okay, so I have it like this, and I'm just going to baste around from the exterior side to make sure it gets caught on here. Okay, so now we have our slip pocket on the inside. It's not a very heavy duty one, and of course my corners exceed the bottom curves, so I'll just trim those up. This is not how the slip pocket is written in the pattern. All right, I'll be back. All right, we're going to attach the our cute little strap connector zipper pocket with the strap onto our back panel. So make sure your centers are marked on your back panel. Make sure your centers are marked on your zipper pocket. Undo your zipper a little bit, pull your lining up so that it doesn't get caught into the seam allowance here. You're going to lay your connector pocket wrong side against right side, so that when the bag is up, you're looking at the front of the strap connector. I'm going to use some double-sided tape only because of the fact that I've got to trim that off, but I also want to make sure that I put the strap connector maybe 1/8 of an inch above the top edge of my back panel here. I'm just going to put some, that double-sided tape will help hold it on there. Okay, all right, wrong side to right side. Line up your centers, move my zipper, and I want to have it extend up about 1/8 of an inch so that I can make sure that I catch those corners. Okay, and then I'm just going to baste that across the top. There, and I wanted to make sure that these corners didn't get caught down here, that they were left open. Excuse me, I'm just going to trim those. Not quite to the edge, because, well, we're going to need this edge for binding anyways, but okay, so now we have our strap connector. This is when the bag is put together. This is how it's going to look. Pretty cool, huh? All right, I'll be back. All right, so now we're going to be working on our zipper gusset panel. So you will need your 2 exterior pieces of pattern piece D and your 2 lining pieces of pattern piece D. And I've marked all of my centers. I don't know if you can see that. right there and there on all of my lining pieces and all my exterior pieces. My exterior pieces have the Bianni's So Soft and Stable foam. So I'm just going to take my double-sided tape on the right side of one of my exterior pieces. We're going to strip across the top. And I forgot, you need your longest strip of zipper. And I am only using one zipper pull. I'm not doing the double zipper pull. We don't need the zipper pull yet to put it on yet. So we're just going to take the double-sided tape backing off. And I'm going to mark my centers on my zipper. I did that with all my fabric. Okay, zipper teeth down, match your centers, line up the top edges. You're going to have overhang of your zipper tape. That's okay. Okay, run another strip of double-sided tape along the wrong side of your zipper tape. And take your right side of your lining and put it right side together with your exterior, with your zipper teeth down. So you're attaching that to the wrong side of your zipper tape, but your right sides are together of your lining and your exterior. Okay. And we're just going to stitch this zipper sandwich together. And then we're going to flip it and top stitch. Okay, now we're just going to flip it and line it all up, line your edges together, clip. Line up your centers. Make sure that both raw edges are meeting. The foam makes it hard. You've really got to clip this because it adds a bit of bulk behind the lining. Okay, so I'm just going to baste these raw edges and then I'm going to top stitch along the zipper. Top stitch along the zipper tape. check. It's okay. Okay, and we repeat. So there we have the one side, and we repeat for the other side. Caught underneath there. Check. It's okay. Okay, and we repeat. So there we have the one side, and we repeat for the other side. All right, so we have our zipper gusset made, and now I'm going to put my zipper pull on, and this is going to be the front of the bag, and this is going to be the back. So I am just going to make a little F right within that basting seam allowance. Just a tiny little F and a little B for the back, just so that I can see it. And I know which is the front and which is the back because I'm only using one zipper pull. Whereas if you had two zipper pulls, you wouldn't have to worry about what the front and the back. All right, feed your zipper pull on. Line it up so that your zipper pull is straight. Push it on, and there we go. Okay. Now, as I said at the beginning, I haven't made my bottom gusset piece yet, because I wanted to see how wide this was going to be. And as you can see, there is about an inch difference. So I'm going to cut my bottom gusset according to my zipper gusset width. It's going to be the same length, but this is going to be wider. The short ends are going to be wider, and I'm going to cut my exterior and my lining and my foam. Now the foam's going to be narrower to fit inside, and I'll be back when I have that done. All right, so I've cut my bottom gusset, and I've cut it the same width as what my zipper gusset is, as well as the lining. I've done that as well. Now, you could trim this down on both edges to make it match what the pattern measurement is, but I do like having a wider gusset in the bags. So that's just my preference. It just gives more room to put things, like to be able to fit a water bottle and that kind of thing. All right, so you're going to take your double-sided tape. We're going to work on the bottom gusset, and we're going to put double-sided tape across the short ends. One of mine is slightly longer than the other, but we're going to do it on the right side of the exterior. And we're going to take the double-sided backing off one end, and then you're going to line up, you're going to take your exterior bottom gusset and line it up with the side edges of your exterior zipper gusset. Make sure your edges are straight. Then you're going to flip it over, and you're going to put another strip of double-sided tape on the lining side at the top raw edge. Take the backing off. Yeah, mine might not come off because it won't stick to nylon very well. Okay. And then you're going to put the right side of your lining together with the right side of your zipper lining there. Make sure that you line up your edges. And then we're going to sew across here at the seam allowance in the pattern. Make sure all your edges are lined up. And then we're going to flip it and top stitch. So you're going to flip your wrong sides together, and then we're just going to top stitch across that seam that you just stitched. Making sure that you pull your edges and that they're all lining up. And then we just top stitch. Okay, and then on the other end where I put the double-sided tape, just peel the backing off. We're going to be creating a loop, and we're going to take the right side of the other end of the bottom gusset and line it up with those raw edges on your along your zipper short edge. Flip it over, put another strip of double-sided tape across the top raw edge of your lining. Pull the backing off, and then take your lining piece. Now mine, you're not going to see this. I ran out. I was running out of this lining, and I needed enough to make my binding strips. And then just tape it across here, and then we're going to sew it at the seam allowance in the pattern. So when you turn right sides out, you're going to have a continuous loop. And we still have to top stitch this end, and then we need to baste these together. So I'm going to flip it so that it's inside out again. And I'm going to start at this end because we've already sewn this around, and I'm going to start at this end, and as I sew, make sure that my lining and my exterior ends are together, and then when I get to this end, then I'll be able to top stitch across and then go back down this side to finish basting it together. And we're almost done, and then we just have to attach the front and the back and bind. All right, so this is what we have now. We have one continuous loop, and I already have, we have to mark our centers, which I already have on my zipper panel. So what you do to mark your centers is line up your top stitched seams on both sides. Go all the way to one edge, and I know I've got my centers marked here for the zipper, which we did, and here, And then we need to follow it down the other side for the bottom gusset and mark your centers. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to install the front panel first. Okay, and if you remember, I marked a little mark that said front. Okay, let me make sure I've got the right one. Okay, so this is going to be the outside of the bag, so I just want to clip that so I know that that's my front. Turn it inside out. Now I'm going to take the front that I've marked a long time ago. I want to make sure that that's right, because when the bag is open and on the right side, my zipper pull is going to go to the left. Okay, turn that. Match the centers. All this double-sided tape, and I will be doing a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance because I know that a 1/4 of an inch won't cover that wider double-sided tape. And clip it. And I'm just clipping the flat edges, and I'll take the back edge with the notched marked out for the centers and line those up. Okay. Now you may want to undo your, this tape. You may want to undo your zipper tape, your zipper, to give it a little bit more flexibility. It might be a good idea in this case since I'm fighting with my tape. And then I just work everything around. Just trying to see where that lines up. Okay, so I'm going to line up this one seam with this top stitched seam of the gusset, and then work my edges. I may have to trim the corners, I will see. Tape everywhere. Okay. So I'm just going to take my, I'm just going to take little snips out of these corners, and I'll have to do so on the other side as well. But that'll help to ease the gusset onto the those squared off corners. Kind of just splay it open and then just help to feed it on around those corners. Use a lot of clips on your corners if you have to. It fits pretty good, it just needed a slight bit of help with snipping those corners. Other than that, it fit beautifully. Okay, now we'll do the other side. And I'll line up all of that seam, line that up here. See if that fits. I'm just going to snip into those corners. Oh, the sun's coming out. That's nice. All right, fit the corners around. No tape to hold it on. Fits beautifully, hardly needed any help whatsoever. Okay. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew, I'm just going to baste this on to get rid of the clips because they're always in the way. And then I'm going to sew at the seam allowance just to make sure that it's on. All right, I'm just going to flip it just to make sure everything's okay. Okay, right sides together, stick your back onto the right sides facing and line up your centers on the top and the bottom. So I'm not taping. Usually I do everything with double-sided tape. I will clip extra here. Okay. Make sure that when you clip and sew, because I have my straps tucked into that slip pocket, that it's not in the way of my sewing. All right, now we'll sew at the 3/8 of an inch seam allowance with the back panel on your table. It just makes it easier to go to work with the gusset. Okay. All right, let's just turn this and see how it looks before we do any binding. Okay, it looks great. All right, so we'll get the binding on now. Trim up your raw edges, if there aren't any, if they're not even, just get the back. I'm going to do the binding on the back first. And this will be flipped. Okay, so right sides together, right sides with the binding and right sides with your, I wonder if it'll work better this way. Okay, so just fold over one of these raw edges at a quarter of an inch, just fold it over. And then I just clip it on. And then I just kind of feed it around as I sew, and and then when it's all sewn on, we're going to flip it and sew. So I'm just attaching the binding to the gusset side. And I'm sewing that at a quarter of an inch seam allowance. Okay, so we have attached that all on. Now we're going to pull it forward. And this is where we have to clip. Okay, so we have it all pulled. So now what we're going to do is we're going to fold it in half and then fold it to cover the other side of your bag. Okay. So I'm just folding the binding in half. Oh, we have some wayward stitches here. Don't want to have seen. Okay, just fold it in half and then fold it over so that we have a nice folded binding edge on both sides. Okay. All right, there I have it all clipped, and I'm just going to switch out my thread. Okay, so I have the back panel all clipped, the binding all clipped, and I've switched out my thread to a blue thread. So the thread that I'm using, it's glide thread. And the color that I'm using is called Ocean. And how gorgeous is that it matches perfectly. One thing about glide thread, now this has a plastic coating on it because it's a brand new spool, is it has a gorgeous sheen to it. It's a beautiful thread. The text weight is slightly heavier than Gutermann's Sews-All thread. The only thing I don't like is you can see the end, it untwists, and I have to nip that end off so many times just to thread my needle. But one of the things I like about glide thread, well, a few things, is this makes great embroidery thread for your embroidery machine, or sewing embroidery machine as I have it. The other thing I like about the glide thread is it pops, the bottom pops off, and you can unwind your thread, and then when you're done, you just wind it back up and close the bottom, and it holds it in place. I wish all spools did this. Juki Junkies is if you watch Juki Junkies YouTube channel, they highly recommend the glide thread for bag making, and I get mine from EMMALINE bags at this point in time, and they have a really super great price. I think it's $5.99 a roll Canadian. Anyways, there's my glide thread. So I'm just going to be stitching with the bottom back on the bottom and the facing up, and I'm just going to stitch on my binding at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance from the edge that we first sewed. take a lighter to those thread ends. Make sure it got caught on all sides. Didn't get caught around that corner. Well, and Bailey's here and she's bugging me because I'm not paying attention to her. All right. All right, so there we have the binding done on the back piece, and I'll be back. I'm just going to attach the binding to the front just like we did with the back, and I'm going to stitch it all around, then fold it and stitch it again, and I'll be back. All right, we have both sides all bound, the front and the back. Now we get to turn this bag inside out, or sorry, outside right. I love these colors. They're just so gorgeous from Sand Fabric Creation. Okay. Push your gusset up into your binding up into your gusset. That helps to secure your gusset into, kind of acts like a skeleton. The zipper, the zipper pulls are just so noisy. Okay, let's pull this out. Tuck that lining back in. Okay, guys, I wish I had put that foam on the bottom gusset. It makes a difference for making your seams look nicer, but once stuff is in the bottom of the bag, it'll pull out. So look at that. Isn't that beautiful? That is so pretty, the color combination. All right, we're going to finish our strap. So I've got the bag right side up, and you want your strap right side up. You're going to need your swivel clasp, your tri-glide, and your swivel clasp. So the first thing we do is we feed the, I've already taken a lighter to the ends, and we're going to feed that under and over, and the bar, move the bar again and put that over top of there. Feed that up. And then we're going to take our tri-glide with the lobster clasp pointing up and feed it through there. So now we flip the strap to the wrong side. So that's the right side of the bag, and that's the wrong side. So flip it to the wrong side. And then we're going to, what I do is I create a little peak on the underside, because then you have to take your your raw edge, feed it, so there's your center bar, feed it down through there, and it's now going inside the loop, and then move the bar to the other side and push that raw edge up. Okay, now what we're going to, so there's the right side of the bag, and there's the right side of the strap. Now what I'm going to do is this raw edge, you have to have the top edge of your strap free so that it will slide, and then on the bottom loop I just take this and fold it over about 1/2 inch, and then I attach it on to the back of the webbing, and I'm going to clip it, and then I'm going to stitch across this 2 bars to close it up. I have to change my thread color. I'm going to change it to black. All right, it's done. I have stitched the strap to the underside, and now we can clip the swivel clasp to our D-ring at the back, and we have a slide connector, so it will slide wherever the bag needs to go, and you don't have to worry about trying to figure out which D-ring to use. All right, here it is, guys. Isn't that beautiful? I absolutely love this color combination. Look at this. And this, of course, is a wider gusset and a wider seam zipper gusset. And, of course, the back, where we have a magnetic snap closure slip pocket that's big enough to fit my Samsung S25 Ultra and do up the magnetic snap. And then on the front, we have, oops, I got it all squished. We have these really nice 3 zipper pockets. So this one's really small, but it's big enough to put a lipstick or something in it. And then this one goes right to the bottom. And this is a good size one too. And then this is what I love. And like I said, I borrow this to add to other bags as well. So look at that. That is a really, really cute strap connector with a nice little line pocket on inside. And then inside it's all bound. And of course, this is why I did mine on the zipper on this side, because now all the zipper pulls are all on the same side. Call me anal. All right, and there's the inside. Now, because I forgot to put foam along the bottom gusset, I've just got tea towels stuffed in there to push the bottom. But on this front panel, I have a slip pocket, so she can add whatever she needs in there. There's even room for a small Kindle or something. And then on the back pocket, you know, it's just, or the back panel is just plain, and my Made in Canada label as well. And of course I have my bag tag on the front. At some point in time when I run out of my old logo, I'll get new ones made with my new one. So that is the Bartleby Sling from Unikatz Designs, and I love making this bag. I've made so many of them, excuse me, and they're very, very popular. So let's see it on. All right, put my chair out of the way, and I'll have to move the camera up. Now, my friend is shorter than I am. She's quite a lot shorter than me. So I didn't make the strap as long as I would make it for me. Okay. I'm going to have to take the strap and move it all the way down for me to get it on me. Okay. Now, if you were to wear it as a sling bag on your back, that's how it would look. just like that. Very secure with that back slip pocket. And then if you were to wear it on your front, well, if I was to wear it on my front, then I would wear it like this. And like I said, the strap is shorter than what I would use it, because I have it extended all the way to the end. But it'll be fine for her because she's quite a bit shorter than me. So if you're interested, the pattern will be linked in the description box below. Now my hair's a mess. And get you guys back here. All right, my hair's a mess. All right, but this is the Bartleby Sling. So quickly, if you are part of my YouTube family and you're a subscriber, thank you so much for being here and joining me again for another bag making tutorial. If you're new to my channel, thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. On the bottom right corner of your screen, you'll see a little red subscribe button. If you haven't subscribed and you feel like it, then just click that. Make sure your notification bell says to see all posts so you don't miss any more tutorials like this or when I go live. I have a playlist where all of my tutorials and my lives are all in the playlist, so they're all in one spot. But thank you so much for being here. Sorry, I have I always wind up with hair in my eyes here. But thank you so much for being here and helping me sew the Bartleby Sling bag. And I look forward to seeing your creations on my 360 Handmade Bags Facebook group. So join that. The link is in the description below. If you feel like buying me a coffee, that would be great. Coffee sustains me and it helps. It really does help. So anyhow, thank you guys so much for being here and joining me on this sewing of the Bartleby Sling from Unikatz Designs. And I really appreciate you all being here.